All right, just wait for it. Right, okay. I think we are live. Next in our series of the new kind of COVID series of chats with players and staff, we've got Steve Castle and Chris Waters, management team. So,
evening.
I'm on tea, Steve's on wine, and Chris on water.
I'm on water, mate. Yeah.
He's still got the illusion that he's an athlete. So,
you see my 5K run.
I didn't want to say that.
You've got to start somewhere new, haven't you?
Exactly. You've got to have a benchmark, haven't you? And then big improvements from there.
Mate, I'm just impressed I ran 5K, let alone how quick I did it. I'm just surprised I got home.
Well, hopefully you're both well and managing to sort of get through this lockdown still. There's talk of it being loosened off shortly or next few weeks, hopefully. But how are you coping with it?
All right so far, mate. To be fair, like work-wise, is exactly the same. Like I work from home anyway. I'm just sharing the house, so I'm all right. Just my little one's bored, so other than that, I'm doing all right, mate. It's not the worst, is it? It's just tough not seeing family, I guess.
Yeah. It could be a lot worse, couldn't it, if you didn't have things like Netflix and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what about you, Steve? You obviously can't get out on the training field or anything with the kids at your academy in the college.
No, that stopped. Probably that was the first one to stop, actually. So we haven't been doing that. The kids or the students have been doing things online, so they've been finishing off. But yeah, in regards to myself, I've got 3 teenage kids. One of them's got herself a job down at Tesco, so she's busy, and the other 2 are. One's got PlayStation, one's got Xbox. That's it.
You don't see them then.
Who they are, actually. They just come down to dinner, and I just have to get reintroduced to them, basically.
Yeah. Strange times. But yeah, thanks for joining us. As you say, we've had a few questions come in. Obviously, some of them kind of expected, I think, really. But we'll jump straight in with best moment of the season, because it was a fantastic season.
I'll start. I don't think I think we're going to be very alike, so it's going to be all good. Yeah. For me personally, that actually just kickstart the second part of the season, shall I say, is the trophy win at home against Boreham Wood. It's not taking anything away from the other victories that we got in the season, but Boreham Wood are an exceptional team, full-time, local. Obviously, an awful lot of heartstrings there from Chris's perspective as well. But they proved to be one hell of a team, and obviously at this moment in time, I believe they're still in the playoffs. If it's going to be finished or not, that's beside the point. But it was a team that was in form, whereas, no disrespect to Ebbsfleet, I think Wilston could probably match a good second, but you've asked me to one, and it would be Boreham Wood away at home. Sorry.
Chris,
I'm quite surprised you didn't go for Rushall away, mate. And I don't know, best moment. I don't know whether it was when Benny Martin got shot or Josh kicked the corner flag. I can't pick between the two, let alone them both happen in one game. Benny getting shot. I think Braffers mentioned it last week. It's a bit of a personal one as well, but Joe Newton, that's a massive, massive bonus for me this year. And I think when Jacko spoke to Steve and I at the start of the year, part of the remit was to kick lads on. So for us to be able to do that sort of pretty much straight away with Joe, funnily enough, I spoke to his coach today, and he said that his level of professionalism is amongst the best there, including first team. Good. Which probably don't surprise you, Steve, does it? He always does his running first, and they talk very highly of him. But I think probably to go differently, I think my standout moment was maybe the attendance against Malden. I think that's quite. I think what's quite nice for us Stevies, we've had quite a few firsts at the club now, haven't we? But to get over 1,000 at the door, through the door, when we used to sort of, when we first started 80s, 90s, I think it's a massive sort of testament to the work the club's done. And I think that was nice. Obviously, the result was not the one, but to see so many people there and probably see so much of the youth, and I'm sure we'll touch on that loads tonight, right, about the youth and about how they've supported the club and the togetherness of the setup now. It was just amazing to see, you know, and if there was everything's got a silver lining, hasn't it? And I think if that was a silver lining to the FA Cup, it was the fact to see so many there. Yeah,
I mean, that was amazing. I mean, it took everyone by surprise. I think Steve Jackson even had to head down to the ball to try and get some more beer. You know, it was, just took everyone by surprise. But I think, obviously the first Concord away game that was called off late, taking 6 coaches away there is amazing, really.
Oh, amazing, yeah. I agree, mate. And that was heartbreaking that day.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking personally because I knew I weren't going to be there on the Tuesday, but just looking out, and I went and sort of said sorry on a couple of the coaches. I felt it was sort of really tough to see so many people waste their day. Yeah. A bit of a shame that.
But yeah, I think as you say, I think the gates were definitely, you guys had definitely built a lot of momentum, and the support was really starting to come, from the town. You know, we were starting to get close to 400 on a home game. And I think with a run into this end of the season, pushing for playoff places and promotion, I think that would only have gone one way. I think that would only have kept going up. So hopefully we haven't lost out on any of that momentum.
Yeah, hopefully they'll come back. Obviously, there's no real understanding of when we're going to start again, but hopefully, like, we've whetted people's appetite enough to make them come back and want to continue to support. Just obviously when we start, mate, that's all, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no idea of that. I saw was it the chairman of the FA today saying about the 2021 professional season being completely played behind closed doors.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that, mate. I've seen murmurs of it being January, where non-league starts. I've been told by sort of someone in an official position that they're expecting September, but I don't know where the January shouts come from. Can you imagine?
I think it's whatever's going to go, what goes before us. I.e., I think if the Italians, the Germans, and the Spanish, and they can get it going, then I think that'll make a hell of a difference. I mean, non-league football really does stand out. And do we go away from the general consensus and still put a limit of 150, 200 people, and you can social distance them? But would we have the balls, as it were, to do that if the Premier League and the EFL are not going to do it? And also, we've also got to think of the players. There's no one putting their arms behind their back and saying, it's all well and good us saying it, but there might be some real personal issues in regards to that, and there might be some fear. It might not be at Wilston, it might be wherever, and I think that's got to be respected.
Yeah, and they're talking of the Premier League providing 40,000 tests or something, aren't they, between now and the end of the season, as it were, if they were to. Can't see them providing a whole load of tests for non-league clubs.
No. And the thing is that 40,000 tests, I mean, I got mentioned, and we heard something that had gone on in the EFL, and they were talking about the League Two. I think there was 60,000 tests that were needed. Well, the tests have got to go elsewhere. The test, football's not important. We all think it is, but when it comes to these sort of things, it's not. And so, if you're telling me that a care worker's not going to have it, but a player, whether it be in the Premier League or in our level, is going to have it, then it's just there's no contest.
It's 68,000 that could go to somewhere else, couldn't it? If they can afford to do it, it's 68,000 and go elsewhere. Because it just shows you how important money is.
Yeah,
very true.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. biggest disappointment of the season?
Good
Other than Simpson coming to the top 10, I think.
I think, yeah. Like, obviously, I wasn't there at the Concord game. I was away with work, so I think I was travelling from Germany to Belgium, and I was listening to it on a train, and just listening to it, and I think I've got to thank Andy Toves, to be fair. Like, I was trying all I could to try and get updates on the game, and the Vets group was sort of trying to keep me updated, and then there was about 78 minutes gone, and Toves decided to mention that it was live on Cambridge Radio. Cheers, mate. But no, that was a massive disappointment. Obviously, we'd done so well, and the boys were so good within that run. I think that the level of disappointment, I probably didn't need to be there. It might have been better that I weren't there, because obviously it was just an emotional occasion. I think. But that aside, I think probably relating it more to performances, maybe. Rushden away sticks out for us. For me, I felt the draw up there, I thought we were poor. And I felt that we didn't really go there and give a good account of ourselves on the back of some sort of decent performances. And I thought that was that. And it was was it Balham around that time as well, that we were poor. And I just felt like it was coming a little bit. And the other one is, I don't know whether it's a big disappointment, but it's just, I think it's a funny moment in a disappointing situation. Do you know that? Have you ever seen that Peter Kay sketch where he gets in the cab and he's like trying to stop himself from asking the question, and he'd been busy. What time are you on till? You just remember Claudio afterwards, Gaffer. And the boys had sort of like, Claudio had to shoot to go away, and about 3 or 4 of the boys had said to him, "Look, bide your time, wait." And then go and ask him when it's like all died down. I think the moment you walked in the dressing room, it was like, "Gaffer, I've got to get on a plane." He's like, "Help yourself,
now's not the time,
mate."
Now's not the time.
But yeah, I think Rushden away was probably, in terms of performances, I felt that Rushden away was. I just didn't think that we went there, and we'd had a little bit of a disappointment with Joe the week leading up to it, wasn't it? And he had a mystery calf injury.
Yeah, that's true.
That he didn't even know about. But I just felt, obviously, we went there a bit lopsided, and we weren't brave. And I think that was one thing we wanted the lads to be all season, was brave. And I felt that we didn't do it. But I struggled to answer that question, if I'm honest with you, Neil, to think of anything other than that. Obviously, the cup's an obvious one, but I really did struggle to answer that, which probably identifies how much of a season it has been.
Yeah, I mean, there was that huge, long, unbeaten run, weren't there? I mean, you know, the levels of consistency, and I think I've said this in the other video chats with Gus and Braffers, you know, you guys were able to switch the squad around and people come in, but that level never dropped.
No.
You know, it was that level of performance, and people come in and they just fitted straight back in, and you know, and I think, Steve, you mentioned it, you know, numerous times throughout your blogs through the year about how much it was, you know, a squad game, because there's no way with a small squad you could play that many games and keep that sort of level up, really.
No. I mean, you know, I think Chris is right in regards to a disappointment of the season. There weren't anything that really stood out. You know, I have got a different answer. You know, Chris, you know, made me think a little bit more about the Concord game, and the Concord game was weird because obviously I was there and we got beat, but did we deserve it? It was probably the poorest we played, and we didn't really get ourselves going, and we still competed, and you know, by rights, we obviously took another Conference South team 90 minutes. The moment that they got themselves in front, we just didn't have any more legs. But my disappointment will, and I will go back to the previous question, really, would be Malden, only for the fact that it was so it was so enjoyable to get that 1,100 people there.
Yeah.
Right, come on in. We got to entertain you, and we didn't quite do it. And, you know, and I've got another couple of questions that's going to go in regards to Malden, but fair play to them. They weathered the storm. You know, we could have gone in front with Scotty Bridges, one that hit the post, but you know, and probably just on a personal one. Obviously, they beat us and got Leighton Orient away, and had a great cup run. But you know, I don't think you can compare the two cup runs because we had quite favourable draws up until Malden, and we got beat. But then the trophy was a complete opposite. We didn't get very good draws and just went and tanked, you know, near enough everybody. So, yeah, I would totally agree. Hardly any disappointments. But, you know, you've asked us and we've come up with two, and we've done well to come up with two, to be fair.
That was hard, though, wasn't it? The own goal kind of against the run of play.
Yeah.
Sail out of it. And then I felt second half.
They got that break, really.
The third goal, we thought that they were going to, I think it was Harold that was injured, wasn't it? And we thought they were going to sort of
that's right.
Give us it back, but they carried on. We thought the ref was going to let him come up, let Aaron come on. That was it. And they went and scored. So, like, there's moments in the game. I don't look at that one and think we were outdone or anything. I felt for the first 15 minutes, I thought there was quite a big golfing class. And yeah, if Scotty, that one that rifles a post, that goes in, and I think you're in for a massively different game. But that is football, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate.
All right. Next one was toughest place to go for an away game this season. Because we all know that, like, Garden Walk became a bit of a fortress, really. Fantastic home form. But away, was there anywhere that was pretty tough?
What do you think?
We're just alternating. I think the obvious one is Tamworth. We'd been on a run. I do remember Benny Martin, who'd been excellent, didn't manage to start, and obviously the Astro is a consideration with some of these lads. And Tamworth played the conditions excellently and were just at a different tempo to us. And because we were on such a great run, a penalty decided it at the end of the day, because it was 1-0 and we could have got ourselves there, but we didn't quite get going, and that's tough, and that's tough for our ear rolls as well, when you've got absolute idiots behind you saying whatever they got to do and having the I don't know. It's just I'll probably get myself into trouble, and I know this is going out just too many people. But Tamworth away, I don't enjoy. And
they're friendly, though, aren't they, the fans?
Yeah, they're lovely and friendly. Yeah, I think that might be. It's that would be for me the toughest place.
And is that partly down to the Astro as well, though?
No, they're a good team. They're a good team. You know, we got no complaints. You know, they beat us fair and square at home, and so, you know, we've beaten everybody, or we've competed with everybody, and, you know, they beat us twice. That's the only team that has. I think we reverse near enough all the others. So yeah, we need. If it's going to happen next season or whatever, that will be one that we would have to try and get our maximum points from.
Yeah, I think the other one that probably sticks out is the Wilston game.
Yeah.
We were phenomenal. That first half, we were unbelievable, and then they changed their shape, and I thought second half they absolutely dominated everything we did. And I know we sort of said to the lads afterwards, like, didn't really get going, but in hindsight, I don't think they allowed us to get going. I thought they were. You can see why they've cruised that league. To be fair, I thought what a side they've got, and the way they play and the way they kept it, and even with the fans that I know can sometimes turn down there. I just thought that they absolutely popped the ball second half, and just give us a little bit of a schooling. I think that's the only time across the whole season where we had a bit of a schooling. Like even that Tamworth one, I thought we were terrible first half in how we went about our game. Until that penalty in the second half, we were the better side, and the statistics kind of showed that element of it. But the second half against Wilston, I thought they were awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, good day out that.
Great day. To be fair as well, though, even like in the bar afterwards, like a few of their committee members were probably the most complimentary we've faced this season. At least it wasn't a case of, I know we had a few murmurs of going to other games and it was just like, you were lucky, you're this, that, the other, and maybe some of the stick we took at Nuneaton from the fella up in the stand. But Wilston were really complimentary afterwards, even their gaffer and stuff. So, yeah.
All right. Next one is a question here, and obviously we beat a number of National League South and North sides this season. What do you reckon would be the biggest difference and the biggest challenge? If we were to go up compared to the current level.
I think obviously the professionalism of the sides, the quality of the sides. Obviously, the higher you go up, the better the players are going to be. Well, not necessarily better, but more consistent the players are going to be. The more well drilled they're going to be. And I think the one thing that I enjoyed about the cup games was we got the opportunity to actually delve into what the opposition do. And even though it's one step up, you don't get an opportunity to do it. You've got to rely on people going to watch the games, and you've got to rely on third party opinions, really. Whereas with the trophy and games, we had that opportunity to get all the footage. So it would have been nice to have sunk our teeth into it and done that every week. But I think that's probably the biggest difference. I think we'd have more than held our own. I'm sure Steve would agree with everything I'm about to say, but I've got more than enough faith in the boys that were in our dressing room. And you kind of looked around at times, even this season, playing against teams in our league, and think, how are we struggling? With you lot sitting here, how are we struggling, or how are we not performing? But yeah, I think that would be the biggest difference. Challenges may be the fact of the travel, whether all of the boys could have committed, because it's a lifestyle change, isn't it? So you're up north pretty much every other weekend, so it's whether the boys could have sunk into that. By the gauging of it, they pretty much all would have. But I think that would have been a challenge for Steve and I in terms of planning, because it would have provided a lot more commitment to life outside of work, I guess.
Yeah, just to add to that, I agree with everything Chris has said. I think you probably going up to as good a level, whether it be the north, the south. Let's just say it would have been the north. I don't think there would have been a team that would have been one that you could have just turned up half-heartedly and won the game. You'd have had to have tested yourself, and that's probably the frustration for us, because we had this network, we had this squad, and I think they were ready for it. All in different. They've all got their different sort of outlooks on things, but to go into that Conference North or Conference South, at least for that year, if it was going to go into Conference North, I think the lads would have took the challenge, and obviously going on the belief of what we did in the trophy. Yes, Wilston, totally agree. They had a big part, and we just snicked it. But we actually had Chester, who were, I'm not sure whether they're full time or not, but they've got an incredible budget. They've got a great fan base. They're an ex-league club, and we've absolutely slaughtered them. And that was very encouraging for me when you look at that question and you go, right, how are we going to do next year? Well, they were second and third in the league. So, we certainly would be able to survive. Would we be able to get in the playoffs? I'm not so sure. But I'm sure the lads would have rose to the challenge. That's for certain.
Yeah, well, it was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, I think the Chester game did get sort of built up a bit, not by us. I mean, I know that was the Operation Posters thing, but I mean, when they came to Garden Walk, they were early part of the game. Their keepers taking forever to take goal kicks. It looked like they were almost trying to hold out for a draw.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have thought which was the the National League side. You wouldn't have known.
Well, I found it really strange, in regards to, I thought we'd missed the trick, if I'm honest. I mean, it's a badly kept secret that, we go uphill first half, And like my thinking is that I think the first 15 minutes, everyone sort of like, a few shadow punches and, everyone like, then you got half hour to score a goal down the slope. And we didn't do that, even though we had a couple of chances. And I thought that they were just going to absolutely steamroll us at second half. And completely the opposite. I think they had two opportunities that Harry Smart dealt with, brilliantly. They did have a good chance in the first half, I grant you. But yeah, and I think it gave us yet again, Boreham Wood was 1-1, but Chester, that confidence that we can say, yes, we can go toe to toe with these standard of players and more than excel.
I'm just kind of going through these in the list that they're in. I should have probably sorted them out into some sort of order, really. Was there a turning point in the season?
I think there were. I think there's a standout one for me, and I think it was that Malden game. I think that there'd been quite a lot of command-style coaching and stern voices in the dressing room leading up to sort of the FA Cup game, and I just think that the game that followed that was St Ives, and I thought we were unbelievable up there. And I just that for me is still one of the standout performances. Like I know they've not maybe had the season that they wanted to have, but we just suffocated them. Keep telling Harold Joseph he's a centre midfield player. He was unbelievable that night, and just everything we did, everyone done it right. We didn't allow them, and probably using that boxing comment, we just didn't let them out the corner. I just thought we battered them for 90 minutes. And it felt like after that, going into training, the next session, there was just a little bit of a spring in the step. And I think that was the game that then started the run. I think we lost to, was it Tamworth shortly after? But I think that's kind of where the run stemmed. And whether it was like obviously you go out the FA Cup, you don't know what's going to happen, whether people are going to be sort of like down in the dumps or not. But I just felt that whatever we did that night, whatever the boys did up at St Ives, it was well worth that trip. It's not the nicest of journeys at sort of on a Tuesday night to try and get there. It's quite an awkward place to be. But yeah, I think that was my turning point. I can't think of any others really. I think that would be my turning point for the season.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer that, I will change it. Thing. For me, it was Wilston away. Now, the reason I give that, and I'm going to embarrass Chrissy now. Yeah, we had the facility to get some information on Wilston. We done as best as we possibly could. We were very, very bold with what we did. And probably because I've been in management just that little bit longer, sometimes you get that receptiveness off the players, and sometimes you don't. And that will only depend if that stays on getting victories. And the lads were fully on board with what we did. They executed it superbly. Yes, we had the rubber to green at the last minute, but I thought it gave them the belief in us, if that makes sense. And yes, it did sort of stay with the trophy. It was a little bit of a trait that we went and watched a bit of footage and we got our bits and pieces. And I think they held on that, to be fair. But it also just stayed with the league games. And if you took Tamworth away out of that, I just thought they were so receptive, all the boys, and to a player, that they wanted to do the right thing for the team, for themselves, and ultimately the result. So, yeah, I thought that was, for me, it was the turning point.
Yeah, I think
if you have a plan in place and you put that to a group of players and then they see that it works, they've got to then have confidence that, actually, not that you know what you're talking about, but, that there's a reason behind it. And if you follow this, if you do this, it will work. We will get the result.
Yeah, I think probably fair to say, Steve, like there's been a little bit of hesitation in previous seasons when we've
I agree.
during the game, and we've wanted to change formations. There's been resistance, probably the wrong word to use, but there's been a little bit of hesitation on whether it was, and I think obviously that lack of full commitment. And we were massively brave against Wilston, and the warm up. I had quite a thing about the warm up, and I've always, like, throughout the year, the boys have always played in the start of the game in the same way that they completed their warm up, and that warm up was phenomenal. Like, I remember it. Probably picking him out again because Harold was, it for some reason gone and played for Hertford in a trophy and ruled himself out of it. But he was really bright. I remember him just buzzing around, and just the whole vibe. Everyone was joining in. We changed the warm up slightly, and we stuck with that warm up ever since. To be fair, but we changed that warm up slightly, and yeah, that was really nice to walk away and think, right, we've tried something. The boys have bought into it, and they've not just sort of like done a half decent job. They've absolutely smashed it. So yeah, it's a fair comment, that one, Steve.
You commented on like a hesitation and like for changing formation. Is that from the sidelines or the acceptance of it on the pitch?
Both. To be fair, whether that's been prior to a game and maybe we've wanted to change. I'm not saying. And what I'm probably not saying is they're wrong. There's been times where Steve and I have got it wrong. But it's a case of the belief in, right, okay, like, we're with you. And it's felt like that this season, whether we've gone to a three at the back, and I know Ben don't want to play three at the back, but whether we've gone to three at the back or whether we've gone like mid-game, start of a game, gone to a four, like, there's been no gripes about anything that we've done this year, and I think that says a lot. Even with, like, we've been quite consistent with the message of it being a squad, and even if a lad's left out, other than Gussie, who loves an absolute dummy throw, there hasn't been many gripes at all. And to be fair, I say that about Gussie because I'm thinking back to Rushall again. But there was a spell where he was out of the team and Eddie was in. And previous years, he's been quite sulky on the bench and stuff. But I'd hear him and he was up and he was chirping away and he was keeping it bright and vibrant. And I thought, right, we've got a good gel this year. The lads have, because we were quite worried, weren't we, when we took some of the characters out of the dressing room?
Yeah,
was that going to be replaced? And I think that everyone's kind of chipped in. And yeah, it's nice. And I think Bradford's mentioned it, the Colville game. We saw that pre-season. It disappeared for a little while, but then that togetherness as a group has been frightening. It's been phenomenal to watch and be a part of.
And it's obvious from the side as well. You know, you can see them, and not casting aspersions against anyone last year, but, you know, there seems to be more of a real fight amongst them all to just keep going. I think I said to you, Steve, at one of the games, I think at Ebbsfleet, it was like 25 minutes gone of the extra time, and Scotty Bridges is still running down, trying to close down their keeper.
Yeah,
you know, and they're all fighting for each other everywhere on that. And I think that is clear to see from the sides, and it's a credit to not only the players but to you guys as well in keeping that attitude sort of like instilled and, you know, keeping them going even games when they've been 4-5-0 up, they're still going, they're still pushing.
Yeah. I think what might have helped is the fact that we were consistent with that message. I think probably a standout moment in the season for me to epitomise that was from Greeny. He was left out of a game, wasn't he? And Spiros was put in, and Spiros played really well. And Greeny come up to me after. Was it the Boreham Wood game? Greeny come up to me afterwards, and he said, like, you made the right choice. Like, you got that wrong putting him in. You got that right putting him in. And I thought, like, not many lads I've played with have been like that mature, you know, to sort of see it that way. But that was how it was pretty much. Everyone wants to play, you know, but we didn't see loads of people sulking in corners. Yes, there were spells, don't get me wrong, because everyone wants to play. We get that. But when you compare it to what the 5 seasons previous, I think that's played a massive part in why we were so good this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think Gus touched on it as well. And having, you know, at least one other person for every position has kept them on their toes. I mean, Gus said, you know, he knew that if he dropped, Ed would have to come in, and he knew that if Ed had a bad game, he'd be back in. So, you know, it's great to see that. Okay, next one. Most impressive opponent this season. Someone asked that for both team and player. So I don't know if you want to take one half of that each, or if there's a most impressive team that we faced.
Go on, Chris.
I think Boreham would spring to mind for that obvious reasons. I agree with what Gaffer said there. I thought they were hell of a side. And obviously, yeah, Luke's a good friend of mine anyway, and growing up with him. So like it's good to see that he's doing so well there with that squad. So taking out everyone else, I thought that Colville, when they came to ours, were a very good side. I thought that was a hell of a game. And I think out of there's been a few. I think there's a lad at Peterborough in the centre of the park called Josh McCammon, who I thought was very good against us. A couple of lads at Colville when we went up to there. I think the lad at Barwell, is it Hickey, did a really good job on our midfield when we went and got beat up there. But the centre half that day, he was just swallowing footballs. Do you remember the big bald lad?
Yeah.
Didn't play against the second time, and I just thought he was excellent. I thought they were a very good side that day. Bromsgrove first half I thought were excellent, and you could see why Peterborough scored so many. I just thought we were excellent that day. But if I'm picking out a standout, it would be Colville, and I would have said their centre half.
Yeah. Team would be Malden, and probably not only. I do agree with what Chris said, that I think if we'd have played them another 9 times, we'd have won all 9. But on the day, they weathered a storm. It was a massive crowd, and they got themselves in front. Yes, it was a little bit unfortunate, but then probably what led on to that and what the season they've had would probably tip it for me. And I'm going to half defer on the player, in as much that this lad, this was in a pre-season game he played against us, so that's where I can qualify it. And it made me want to get him back in Ad Watkins. I thought he played against us for Cambridge City and run the show. He had a bit of an agenda, bless him. Why he wasn't, what he thought he wasn't wanted, I do not know. But he came back in and Ad's just slotted in and has been a big part of our success this season. So he would be my toughest opponent, albeit in a pre-season game.
Shame he didn't get injured at work before that game, Gaffer, wasn't it?
Yeah, very true. What's that, Ed?
All right, so obviously Joe went on and has gone up higher. Is there anyone else you think at the club who's capable of playing at a high level? I'm sure there'll be a number of them, really, if not all of them.
Do you know what? You just hit the nail on the head there. I think there's potential. A few of the lads are getting on in years and whatever, but when you're saying a higher level, we're talking about Conference North. I don't think there's a squad member that couldn't play in the Conference North and Conference South, and that's a higher level. If you're talking about league football, who knows? But I tell you what, I've been lucky enough to play league football, and I've played with a lot worse players that have played regularly in League One and League Two than what we've got in our squad. And I mean that. I really do. There is so much ability there. The young uns, I think they're going about it in the right way with their attitude. I think the sky's the limit for especially the youngsters with them, and hopefully it's with us.
Yeah, it's hard, that question, and you don't really want to pick anybody out as an individual, but then at the same time, I wouldn't personally want to sit and name no one. Do you know what? I think you've answered it perfectly there, Gaffer. We're lucky to have a lot of them, I think. And if a few of them haven't had sniffs already, then I'd be very surprised. So yeah, probably trying to cross turn that question a little bit and not give a straight answer, but I'd agree with that. I think we're lucky to have the squad we are, and yeah, that going back to the question we asked previously, I think a lot of them would have, well, all of them would have slipped into Conference North football comfortably. There are a few that I think that could play higher, but I'll keep that under me out, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
If there's anyone watching, then I'm doing their scouting for them, aren't I? Is anyone watching? What we got about 4 people on that?
Yeah, 12 or so.
Tom's got nothing.
Maybe a few more. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Obviously, it's hard to kind of pick anyone out. But is it something like? I mean, Joe Newton got spotted. Is it just that kind of bit of luck that needs to happen? Obviously, it's work and that as well. But is it just on that one? Not on that one day, but you've got to have that kind of thing that just works in your favour to get that league deal.
I don't know. I mean, I think Joe has always been very, very highly thought of. I know, with Chrissy having him in his scheme. I know, Stevenage, the local teams, and I hope that he doesn't take this the wrong way. But obviously, just him being as young as he is and his personality being quite quiet, I think that probably was a little bit of a negative. But his football just took control of everything. If I'm really honest, he came in last year. It took him a little while to settle in, and then was excellent. And then, yeah, he was just phenomenal, and he was just unbelievable going. Lowest off, I do remember as a wing back, it was. I think it was a bit of a no-brainer. Because obviously his maturity will be there. It's great earlier on in the interview what Chris is saying that, he's so well thought of, and, both Chris and I know his dad really well, and he knows he'll keep his feet on the ground, and, it couldn't happen to a nicer kid. There's a few of them in our squad as it is, that, I think Joe was one that was, if it wasn't us, it would have been someone else. But we'll take the plaudits and we'll take the compliments that he came through us, and hopefully goes on to make a really good established career.
Yeah. So this is pretty similar, really, and this is kind of what young players you're excited about at the club, and I think this is aimed more at perhaps not those in the first team, but those that have been in and around the first team, whether it be in cup games, county cup games or whatever. So if there's any there that you're willing to share.
Well, we've got, after all those compliments, we've got the first team nailed down. They're all on 5-year deals now, so they're not going anywhere. So we're going to have to
let's see if Steve Jackson's commented on that.
I mean, I'm probably going to put my little college hat on as well, but I will go into the reserves, and 2 lads for me, or 3 lads, I should say, that came in occasionally, especially pre-season, and adapted really well. Sam Nolan, Mamadou Diop, and Fran Shilton, and they all came in and really, sort of. It was just unfortunate that we had a big, strong squad. And considering we had 19 injuries the year before, and I don't think that we had any sort of injury above 2 or 3 weeks, and so these lads never really got the opportunity to play a first team league game. I hope they stay with us, because there's the potential in all 3 of them, and yeah, I think the reserves have generally done really well, but they were standouts in all forms as well as coming in with us.
Yeah, I'd agree. I thought Sam was probably the one that jumped out to me out of all of them, and one that's been a bit of an enigma this season was we brought Issa in, who'd shown unbelievable signs to get himself fit, and then he's got knee injuries, but yeah, he could be a hell of a player at this level. I think there's a few things that maybe he needs to work out in terms of whether he can commit to the standard, but he's certainly capable of playing the standard. But yeah, the three lads that Steve's picked out have been good to have in training as well. Sorry, I'm talking there, and then I'm picturing back to when the little man Sam is sat in the dressing room between Ben and Benny Martin and Adam Murray. He's got bad posture as it is, so he's sitting down here in the team. I thought he's about 8. The mascot stuck around for the team talk. But no, yeah, good players.
And I guess that's one of the things, that people don't realise, that the level of commitment at this level now. I mean, years ago it used to be sort of, I think non-league football was a lot different, like a good few years ago. But now, I mean, it's just like you're seeing, the data that you're collecting now with the player maker stuff on the boots, the data that Aaron and Scotty are sharing and stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing the level of professionalism now. And I guess that's got to go to the players as well, in terms of keeping fit, eating right, sleeping. And
I think touching that, I think maybe contradicting it slightly. I think that the professionalism in terms of athleticism has massively increased. There's less hiding spaces now with what we're doing. Just Aaron and Scott have been brilliant, and I think the amount of pitch time and availability that they've had for squad selection identifies how well that them two have done their job this season. But I think that where it has changed, and I think this is maybe where I was touching upon, maybe back when I was playing, going back 10 years, no one would dare miss a game of football. No one would dare miss training. And I think that's where the game has changed. Like, I think there's a little bit more acceptance for holidays and stuff, or just lads. Whereas growing up, you committed to non-league football, and although you weren't a pro, you kind of embedded in it. And that's what I like about the squad we've got this year, is in the squads that I kind of enjoyed happy days in, there was a sort of a togetherness in the bar afterwards, and the lads have definitely got that. It's nice that some of them are still there at like 6:30. But I think that that's where that kind of contradicts each other. I think it's players are a lot better these days, and I think it takes a lot more to sustain your continuity within a side. But there has been that flip, and it's not just. I think there's an expectation from players that maybe haven't been and done it, and I think they come in, and I think that's one thing that I think maybe Steve and I have done well, is we've been quite selective with who we let in the dressing room, and I think it is quite a testament that we haven't. I've been at clubs where they've had like 90 players in a year, and I think we've had maybe 24, 23, 24 this year. So yeah, you make a good point with that, Neil, and I just think that it's funny because there is a contradiction to it as well.
Right. Yeah. All right. Almost the last question. This one came in a little bit late, and I did spring this on you a little bit just beforehand. Sin bins are introduced in levels below ours. What's your view on them generally? And because there's talk of them moving up through the pyramids.
Yeah, is it though? That's the trouble. It just seems if they're doing it lower level than us. We've actually had over the college referees that have turned up and sort of like, are you doing the sin bin? No, never heard of it. Well, I'd like to do it. Right, okay, well, what's it all about? And they're trying to explain it before a game. Chaos, absolute chaos. I mean, if step 7 are going to do it, step 4 are going to do it, step 3 are going to do it, and then it goes all the way through, then we'll have to accept it. But it just seems like another little crazy little thing from an idea from UEFA or FIFA or the FA or whoever wants to do it, that it's just a little fad. Will it do anything for the discipline? Probably will. is that the biggest problem in football? I don't think so. So I wouldn't be a fan.
No, what you
I'd
said.
probably be in there all the time. That's probably
Well, that might touch on one of the other questions we had, and I didn't do a banner for this one. I forgot. But someone asked, "Why do you stand at opposite ends of the technical box?" I reckon it's to get the linesman gets it twice as he runs past you.
yeah, that's a point. Do you know what? We've never spoke about it, but I mean, I obviously you gave me these questions beforehand, so we had a little bit of time to think over it. You might have noticed I'm not very quiet, am I? And I wouldn't actually sort of put myself in somebody's ear roll. So I think Chris is probably not on purpose, but I think, you know, if the technical area could be wider, he'd be even wider again. But, you know, no, a little bit of personal space, a little bit of time to think. I don't think, you know, there's other management teams and they're in each other's ears every 2 minutes and everything like that. And we just don't work like that. I'll have a little walk forward and he'll have a little walk forward, but to a degree, very rarely, I can't remember a time that we certainly won't publicly contradict each other. We'll have different opinions. That's obvious. And two sets of eyes are going to look at, you know, and we're going to see different things. We're going to see people playing well. We're going to see people not playing well, and they can be completely different in the same game. So just that little bit of personal space, really. Not really. We're given an answer, but I didn't really have one. I feel for me it was just a little bit of luck, you know.
Just the way it's worked out.
We won back in the day, and that was it.
I think it's I think it's come a little bit superstition as well, isn't it? I think, like, to be honest, I'll probably be able to answer it a little bit. Obviously, this is my first managerial gig, and I remember thinking, like, the first time, naturally, you've never done it before. You've been a sub, you've come on, and I did it where I was sort of playing and that. But it was where I was playing, I don't watch what Steve does, for example, you know. So when I'd stopped that playing, it was an element of me thought maybe he likes his space. But then, like, this is weird, Neil. Like, I got used to standing at the other end, but then I developed like a little bit of a superstition where I had to stand with the line between the two legs. And it stayed with me. And I remember being about 3 seasons in, and I remember watching, I think it was Arsenal, no, it was Man City. And I remember thinking, I've never thought this before, but all the managers stand up by themselves and the assistant. And do you remember me asking you, like, once, Steve, like, and I said to you, do you mind that I stand up as well? Because I've never really paid any attention to it. I think you said bless you. That was all you answered. Yeah, I think it's more just superstition than anything else. There was a reason at the start, and it was didn't want to be like the buzzing around. Do you know what I mean? I thought but I think it works well. I think what I like about it now is what Steve just said there. There is 2 sets of eyes going into the dressing room. And we, rather than agreeing all the time, we see things slightly differently. And although it's sort of 10 yards, we're looking at different things because we're not talking to each other. Otherwise, we end up, because we're conversating all the time, you end up looking at exactly the same thing. Whereas because we don't do that so much, we get a different approach. Yeah.
And it has the added bonus of you both having a chance to have a go at a linesman.
They lost their humour. A lot of them have lost their humour.
They have. You get the odd one or two, don't you? All right.
Yeah, I think we've had a couple. But,
it's the 4th officials who are the worst.
the fella down at Ebbsfleet. Yeah, it'd be fun at parties.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right, I have got one last thing, and this I'm kind of springing this on you, Chris. Really, apparently you're quite a penalty taker, and the vets have said you've got to talk us through some technique.
So we need to probably talk through the fact that Lee manages his sides very politically, and he's so desperate to get top goal scorer that he makes tactical substitutions. Yeah, shambles. It was the worst penalty I've ever seen in my life. Like, I didn't play. It was my first game for 3 years, and it was 87 minutes in. I don't know who I thought I was trying to take the penalty. I could barely walk to the ball,
Apparently,
let
you were
alone run up to
insistent you
it.
were going to take it.
Yeah, I'd had a good game, mate. I'm not. I had a really good game, and my daughter was there as well. So it was the first time she'd come to watch, and yeah, luckily she was picking daisies out of the grass because it was an absolute shambles. I just pretty much might have just picked it up and just chucked it at the keeper.
1-0 down with like a couple of minutes to go, wasn't it?
1-0 down, yeah. I'd set a scene and then just absolutely embarrassed myself. It was like,
And apparently
it was worse than. Do you remember Rod's at Hereford?
Yeah,
It was the worst penalty I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. One of their fellas said to me, I'd walk back to the penalty spot. I thought you'd score. I thought there's no point watching this. I know it's going in. I was like, mate, I can't. Yeah.
Was that the same game you done your double hat trick as well, or was that, or shall I just put that in?
So yeah, this is where we got to talk about Lee. Now I'm glad you're giving me a little bit of an insight to talk about Lee. So we played this team in the cup, and we were 9-0 up at half time. Right, the left back Neil was 76. He played for the England vets team, right? And I can't think who was up against him, but we just kept giving him the ball, and I felt I couldn't go. Do you know, like when your young kid has the ball when they're younger, and you think you can't tackle them. The fella was so frail, and we kept playing the ball out wide, and then it was like Cristiano Ronaldo running at the fullback, and then Lee's giving him MOM, and I'm thinking he's giving him MOM against an 8-year-old man. Yeah, no. It was that game. I don't like to talk about that, Steve, because I don't really score them yet, do I? So,
oh right, no, okay.
Steve, there was one thing in one of your blogs, and again, this has only literally just come into my head now. You mentioned a phrase "cavey," and you said there would be a time for that. Is now the time or not?
Yeah. No, cavey's two purposes. I was trying to find some sort of signal for the lads to do a keep ball, because there was a time, not that far ago, long ago, that we were hit and miss. Let's put it politely, and we were scoring goals, or we were letting them in, but we were losing possession, and we just sort of, right, come on, let's go see out the game, and. Cavey is a nickname that I got given by Liam Dace when I was at Birmingham, because that's how I led my life, apparently, and that's rich coming from him. Yeah, I just found one there, and that was it. And I've never told the boys, but I think they probably found out. And yeah, it was Cavey, but the main thing was keep the ball, don't lose the ball, win the game. All
right, cool. We did get a comment when this was going on as well. This is from the mayor of Royston. Says, you guys have done our town so proud this year. Looking forward to winning that league next year. And if I'm mayor when you win the league, I'll be in the shower again. That's a promise. There you go.
That is one a year.
Promise.
Can we comment back? If we win the league, can we get 2 parking spaces up at the town hall so we ain't got to pay 3 quid?
No, but I think I think that it will be it though, won't it? For like next year, it'll be that. I think you used it before, Chris. Like, we go again, just unfinished business.
Go again, yeah. I think so. Obviously, no one really knows what the landscape of non-league football is going to be like next year. Some people are going to flourish in this because of the way that their clubs and their businesses or the chairman are set up. So people are naturally going to come out of things richer, but a lot of clubs are going to be hit. So I guess it's who can keep their players, who loses their players to bigger clubs, or who can't afford to keep the staff there. So I guess that will play a big part in what happens next year for not just us, for everyone. But you'd like to think if it all went back to normal and we could pick up where we left off. I think one of the questions you were going to ask was about winning the league. I 100% thought we'd have won the league. We had some tough games, but I felt we had an easier run in than what Tamworth did. And obviously, as a good of a side that Peterborough were, we had 3 games on them. So I felt that I think it would have come down to, we tried to work the points out so we could go to Peterborough on the last game of the season and it did not matter too much. And I felt the way we worked out, we felt that it would have come down to goal difference. And that was part of the team talk, and I don't mean it disrespectfully at all, but that was part of the team talk that we had at St Ives that last game. It was about scoring goals because they're going to be important, and obviously we did that second half.
Yeah. Oh, we did get a response from the mayor, by the way, to your request for parking spaces. There you go. No. That's not that.
Fair enough.
So cheers to that, guys. We've reached an hour. I think I've taken up enough of your time. You've probably got a load of stuff to go off and do, or not.
Yeah.
Neil, can I just put a point in regards to the whole club? I know you wanted me to, and I know it's a real passion. It's a real passion of both Chris and I, and in just developing this great club. And yeah, you know, we've all had the knockback of what's gone on, but we were on an unbelievable momentum. You mentioned it in regards to the Concord game on the Saturday. You know, 6 coaches. You know, the Ebbsfleet game is just absolutely priceless. You know, it's right up there with anything that I've ever done, the experience that I've ever had, and it was just unbelievable. And there was so many of them that I can't pick them all out. And the youth had such a big part in that. You know, I can't thank them enough. You know, that's what I did try and sort of like explain in regards to the Malden. You know, we had the kids there, they were waiting to cheer, and we didn't happen. And I was absolutely gutted that we couldn't do anything. And on the flip side of that, you know, Boreham Wood, Chester, Ebbsfleet, you know, we've had like the kids jumping up and down, and the lads. I'm going to say it on behalf of the lads. It made our cup run. It really did. And a real big thank you to everyone involved in the youth, and hopefully we can just keep building. I know Chris is very keen on doing it with the kit, and we become one. Yes, you know, the attendances will hopefully the lads will be enjoying it. You know, on a flip side, I will tell you as the manager that when we get going, the lads will come and help out in training and go and watch a few games and everything like that, because we want to give it back to them. You know, what they've done to us was priceless, and a massive thank you.
Oh yeah, no, that's I'm glad you picked up on that, because that had slipped. But I mean they have been amazing, and I think also sort of like going back that way. And I know from my boys' experience, you know, the players and that are so approachable, and you know, and I think that helps. You know, there is that sort of two-way kind of appreciation, really. You know, the players are great with the kids as well as you know, the kids supporting and cheering, and you know, long may it continue, really.
But just probably jumping in on that, and again, probably not wanting to embarrass you, Neil, but I think the role that you play has been hugely vital to this year as well. So, like, well done to everything you've done, mate. Even this, it was a big part that was missing, and I think the social media presence and just that whole feel around it is helping us take that next step. And I think what you've done has been invaluable as well, mate. So appreciate that.
I appreciate it too, Chris. Thanks for that, mate. And thanks to both of you, really. Unless you've got anything else. Appreciate that. And thanks for your time.
No problems.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Yeah, bye-bye.